President Trump in Southern California this evening, promising to help LA recover after the unprecedented wildfires. KCAL's Tom Waite live in Pacific Palisades. And Tom, before his arrival, tensions were high as President Trump repeatedly said federal aid would come with strings attached. Tom.
And good evening to you, Pat. That's absolutely right. It was President Trump and some of his top Republican allies who said there would be strings attached, conditions on any federal aid. He even said it again this morning, but he kind of backed off of that once he visited the fire-ravaged areas. And he did seem very moved by what he saw during his aerial tour. The question now is, will this be followed by action? Governor Gavin Newsom on the tarmac at LAX to greet President Trump before his tour of the fire-ravaged Palisades. The two appearing to set aside their bitter divisions in the interest of helping the thousands of fire victims who have lost everything.
Most importantly, thank you for being here. It means a great deal to all of us, not just the folks in Palisades, the folks in Altadena that were devastated. We're going to need your support. We're going to need your help. You were there for us during COVID. I don't forget that, and I have all the expectations that we'll be able to work together to get this speedy recovery.
We will. We're going to get it done.
Trump left LAX in Marine One to survey the devastation in the Palisades from the air. Then on the ground, the president met with families whose homes had burned. The emotions of what happened still so raw. The experience clearly moved President Trump.
You can realize how rough it is, how devastating it is until you see it. I didn't realize, I saw a lot of bad things on television, but the extent of it, the size of it, we flew over it in a helicopter. We flew to a few of the areas, and it is devastation. It's incredible. It's really an incineration.
Trump began the day in Asheville, North Carolina, where he promised federal help for the area ravaged by a hurricane 4 months ago. But questions swirled about how he would treat Deep Blue California. Trump and other top Republican allies have said repeatedly there should be conditions for any federal aid to the state. Trump repeated that statement Friday morning before leaving for Southern California.
Well, in California, I have a condition. In California, we want them to have voter ID so the people have a voice, because right now the people don't have a voice because you don't know who's voting, and it's very corrupt. And we also want them to release the water.
After thanking firefighters for their heroic work, Trump sat for a roundtable with LA Mayor Karen Bass and members of Congress from both parties. Trump did not appear to push holding back federal aid here in California until conditions were met, though he did continue to make the false claim that a so-called water release from Northern California could have prevented the horrific fire disaster, which experts say is not true. Trump also suggested FEMA should be overhauled or even possibly dismantled.
FEMA is a very expensive, in my opinion, mostly failed situation. We had great people, we did some good jobs, but each state should take care of their problem and get money from the federal government. It would be so much better, so much more efficient.
There was also this tense exchange between the president and LA Mayor Karen Bass over allowing people back to their homes in the burn areas.
We are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it, because by the time you hire contractors, it's going to be 2 years.
If a family...
The people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
Fire officials have said repeatedly that part of the problem with allowing people to come back right away is that there are things like lithium batteries in EVs that could explode. There's all kinds of chemicals and debris. They just want to make sure that there's no major hazards before people are allowed back in. And that comes from fire officials, not just the mayor. As far as Altadena, of course, the president did not visit there, but did make clear he was also keeping them in mind. But certainly a lot of questions about why he did not visit that area. So tonight, we just wait to find out whether or not this aid will eventually come through, and if the president will go back to making claims that there should be conditions. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Reporting live in the Palisades, I'm Tom Waite, KCAL News.
All right, thanks so much, Tom.